3 higher ed authors, 100 plus college and university presidents, dozens of actionable insights for academic leaders. Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education, is now available on Amazon. Unmuddle helps your community college to drive enrollments and revenue. Community colleges help with workforce development programs to compete on a national and global scale, offering those services to employers. It's time for a new era in higher education. Check out Unmuddle at unmuddle.com/colleges and claim your college for free. Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. Dr. Joe Salustio here with you today, again and again and again. And today we're going to jump right into it. I'm not going to do my normal, boring monologue thing that I always do. I will thank you for those of you very quickly who have jumped online on Amazon and ordered our book, Commencement, the Beginning of a New Era in Higher Education, informed by 120 5, I think, university and college presidents. We are very proud of it, and we thank you for supporting our work. And I'm going to bring my guest in right now because we had a little bit of a, you know what they say, it's a little bit of a technical confusion. So we're a little bit behind on time, and boy, does she have so much to say. So I'm going to bring her in right now, ladies and gentlemen. Here she is. Let me make sure I'm ready. She is Tracy Hartzler. She's president of Central New Mexico Community College and chair of the Unmuddle Steering Council. Tracy, how are you?
Fine, thank you. And thanks for having me today.
Sorry about that. We say that, we never get it right here at the EdUp Experience. We just get to the end, so we'll get to the end eventually. But you've got a lot to say. First of all, level set for us. I want to talk about these dual roles that you're playing right now. And you probably have many roles that you're playing, but president of Central New Mexico Community College, besides where you are, because we can figure that part out. What do you guys do? How do you do it?
Sure. So again, thanks for having me here. And I have listened to a number of your podcasts. I'm not sure I've listened to all 500 or so, but I've listened to many and certainly appreciate the good work that you do. So thank you, for sharing and bringing so many leaders into our world. So thanks so much. So I'm president of Central New Mexico Community College. I'm the 6th president of the college. We are located in Albuquerque, New Mexico, as our name suggests. We are the largest undergraduate institution in the state of New Mexico. Wow. So we're really proud of the nearly 30,000 students, both our degree seeking and those participating in our workforce training and education programs. Really proud of the learners who we serve here in Central New Mexico. But like most of your guests that you've had, we also serve individuals and learners really throughout the entire country and certainly state of New Mexico. And of course, that leads into some other work with Unmuddle and how we also serve not only regional and local employers, but also national employers. Central New Mexico, we offer about 200 and some programs, both credit, degree seeking, and workforce training programs. Been around for more than 55 years. We're really excited about the changing and evolving nature, not only of higher education, but how CNM, how we refer to ourselves, how CNM has grown from our founding as an Albuquerque technical vocational institution. And so that we've really transformed over time here to really reflect that broad community college, the comprehensive community college mission to serve all of our learners, both those who are seeking those traditional trades careers, but also those seeking to transfer to our four-year partners. So again, I think we have a long history in the state. We're really proud of not only our role, not in terms of scale, but what that allows us to do in terms of participating with certainly our rural community college partners, our rural comprehensive partners here across the state, but also again, meet many of our employer needs. And I think that's where Unmuddle comes in as well.
Amazing.
I love what you said so much, right? Responsibility to the community, individual learners, business and employment partnerships. Unmuddle is the chair of the Unmuddle Steering Council. First of all, what is Unmuddle? How did you become involved with Unmuddle? Because I know CNM is one of the founding colleges and universities of Unmuddle. What is it? And why should we care?
Oh, I think Unmuddle is a tremendous organization and enterprise that helps, I'd say, all institutions and employers meet learners where learners are and try to make those connections to provide quality programming for learners to gain skills and competencies that employers value. And so that learners can see an immediate connection with who's hiring, in what area, what the wages could be. So there's really this incredible alignment in terms of programming learners and employers, and it really is all about relevance. So Unmuddle is an online skills to jobs marketplace where community colleges and others promote and feature our programming. Mostly it's non-credit programming. So those workforce training programs that allow for quick skills, leads to licensure and quick employment. We work with both local, regional, national employers. You'll be familiar with CVS or Amazon and others.
Nobody knows Amazon.
No, not during the pandemic. We barely knew who they were.
Yeah.
And so we work with national employers, and again, bringing in learners at all levels. So we're able to leverage all of our strengths, assets, resources to help learners pay for their education and learn those skills that they need to really improve their lives and those of their families. So I'm fortunate that before I became president in January 2020, that I had spoken with Parminder, Jessel, who is the CEO of Unmuddle, and this idea that we were all trying to wrestle with, and that I would say education technology has now kind of allowed us to make those connections. Mm-hmm. But she came to CNM, and we were talking about the future of work and this role of Unmuddle, and how can we as an institution better connect learners and employers, and what's our role in that? And so, as one of the 5 founding partner colleges, I've learned a great deal from Lee Lambert at Pima Community College and so many others who are part of our network. But really, the 5 of us joined together. And of course, as I'm sure you experienced in March 2020, we had this pandemic. And I would say what was really amazing and incredible about the work of Unmuddle is that the commitment we made in fall of 2019, a number of us stayed with that, and it became so incredibly clear that this was absolutely the way to go, to pursue ways to reach our learners where they are and to connect them with jobs. And we particularly did this, again, using an online method. Again, programs can be in person, can be hybrid, or can be completely remote. It's up to the institution what we can put on this marketplace for employers to validate, to use, and also actually to seek us to develop programming. But during the pandemic, we all realized we had to pivot, right, and probably do our work a little bit differently than we did before. And so Unmuddle, frankly, for CNM, has become a catalyst for how we think about revising our programming, how we think about our partnerships with employers and others to really reach learners in different ways than we probably did traditionally. And so I would say Unmuddle happened to be, I'd say, coming up, and CNM participating at a time where the pandemic just slingshot us forward to make some other adjustments in how we deliver our work and our education and reach more people. So.
Okay, so skills to job marketplace, it's important, and community colleges play such an important role, right, with their short course programming, with get me the skill, get me out to work. Maybe I'm going to come back later. I'm going to get a degree. I mean, there's this whole lifelong learning pipeline. Parminder, by the way, is a great friend of the podcast, and an awesome lady. And she always talks about working learners and how important it is to distinguish. Let's not talk non-traditional learning. Oh, by the way, most learners are non-traditional now. Let's talk about the working learner, somebody that's got responsibility. They've got to put food on the table. They've got management, life management. They're going to get an offender bender or get a bill they don't expect. And what does that mean for their, what does that mean of how they justify whether they can continue school or not? And what if I need to pop in or pop out? What if I want more choice? All of these things kind of go together. And I remember talking to her way back when, and she says, we've got these founding members, we've got up to 6 or 7 schools, and we just can't get over that hump. She would say, I know this, I see this long vision, the founding partners see this vision, and then I got to keep going to colleges and ask them this.
Are you in or out?
And you know what? She just couldn't get over that hump. How is it going? Or do you think more community colleges are starting to go, oh, wait, you guys got something special here?
Sure. Well, I absolutely, I will follow Parminder in many directions, in almost any path she wants to follow. What I really appreciate of what she does and how she brings us together is that I think all of us as institutions realize we have something special. And we've had to change and really adapt again to provide that continuous learning for our working learners. I mean, we've always known that, but it's become more apparent in the climate that we're in higher education or post-secondary education. But I think what's so important about what we're doing is how we're leveraging our resources to be able to partner and work with other colleges so that I can build on the programming that was developed at Pima Community College or at SUNY Broome or at Gateway Community College. And I can open up that curriculum, again, developed by another college partner, so that I don't have to undertake the cost of development, but I can help provide that enrollment. And again, I'm going to help Gateway and as one of our partners, or Pima as one of our partners. If I can deliver their programming, I am reaching more learners than Gateway would have done on their own. We're reaching more learners. We're able to share revenues when we get to that point. So I think we're just trying to figure out how to better leverage our resources. And I don't know any community college that says, no, we have enough resources to develop all the programming to be responsive to learners and the way they want to learn and how they want to learn and at what time and what modality. So there's no question that Unmuddle is incredibly attractive and attracted to colleges because it allows us to leverage expertise, programming, a financial model to reach more learners. Again, it helps us fulfill our public purpose and our public mission, not only in our region and to our regional learners, but also to our employers. So the next part about community colleges is that we get to reach more employers this way. I think it's always beneficial when we can connect a learner to say, if you learn these 5 competencies, here are the 3 to 5 employers, whether they're in my neighborhood or they happen to have plants across the country, that you can learn these skills and you are immediately employable. And here's this pathway to success. And by the way, I work with that employer next. And so when you need your next level of training, you can come back to me. Or maybe if you're at another location where they have another plant, you can go to one of our Unmuddle partner colleges and get that same training delivered for that employer. So, I mean, I think when you talk about the networks, that's something that I think most colleges are really looking to expand. Unmuddle provides a great platform to be able to do that. And so I think that's why it's so attractive to many of our community college partners and frankly to our employers as well.
Nailed it.
One of the most confusing things about higher education that I find, we wrote about this in the book, is that the key is partnerships, right? The key is partnerships with other colleges and universities, with business community, with organizations, small, big, medium, large, whatever. But how do you partner, and what does that mean? So as I understand it, and for the audience here, so you can offer a specific pathway or skill at Central New Mexico Community College, and rather than, and I'm in Florida or some other state, rather than invest in replicating that programming, I can say, you know what, Tracy, I'd really like to offer that skill, that pathway that you're offering at C&M here in my home state. And I can go to the student, I can say, hey, look, through our partnership with Unmuddle and Central New Mexico Community College, you could take this skill pathway, and when you're done, you can go out and get a job or increase your income, whatever. And by the way, we're going to be here if you want to get your associate degree. So there's a brand loyalty piece to this, right? Yes. There's a resource sharing to cut the upfront investment costs. There's a lot of ancillary benefits to this. But I see that long-term, lifelong leadership, brand leadership pipeline as a really big piece of what you guys are doing.
I couldn't have said it better. And if I had a sound effect, I would use it myself. But you control the sound effects, so there you are.
Amazing.
But no, I think you mentioned ancillary benefits. I think what's also been really helpful to C&M, we have an entrepreneurial spirit about us. I think people come to C&M, at least in our region, our state, because they have a problem they want solved, and they come to C&M because they see us as a solution-oriented partner. What's exciting about Unmuddle is that it's helped us internally think differently about how we work across the great chasm of credit and non-credit programming. Doesn't have to be a chasm, but it's really been helpful for us to work with Unmuddle and use them as a catalyst to help us think differently about our revenue models, about how we develop programming, again, in partnership with Amazon particularly, but it really helps us bridge a number of areas in our college and enterprise to, again, better meet learners and better respond to employers in ways that are often more agile, faster, allow us to pilot different techniques, like I said, payment for classes, whether it's with students, or how we think about and how we can better access employer tuition reimbursement or education training funds, right? So we're really trying to use Unmuddle, or at least I use Unmuddle here at CNM, to really help us spur innovation and pilots for how we can better deliver education and training. So I'm not sure I would have done that on my own. And I really appreciate the work, not only of Unmuddle, but again, the partner colleges who really come in and help us question, test, champion, if you will, our innovative ways about how we're trying to meet the incredible needs that I think only that community colleges are uniquely positioned to help address. So
Unmuddle's mission is to provide learners, particularly working learners, with multiple pathways to learning and development, with clear signaling as to the time, cost, and uncertainty of each. Unmuddle is powered by community colleges, particularly innovative community colleges, to provide a skills-to-job marketplace. Come join the nation's top community college network today. To get started, go to unmuddle.com/colleges. That's UNMUDL.com/colleges. Yeah, the employers have specific needs and a talent shortage.
Yep.
People don't, they're besides there being a talent shortage, people don't want to work anymore. I mean, I don't know the last time you went somewhere and it's like they're, I was taking my kids somewhere and they didn't have enough servers. So it was like pickup only. So there is a working learner side of this, which is this, we have to satisfy this.
Show me the money!
Right? So there's an ROI bit to this where a working learner says, look, I got to upgrade. I need to make more money. I need to do it as fast as humanly possible. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to go to get this? The responsibility you have as a community college is to say, we can spin this up, the skill. We can spin it up fast. We can spin it up faster than private colleges can. We can spin it up faster than any other type of educational enterprise. That's what gives community colleges that adaptability and flexibility needs in the marketplace. But that is, right, we still have to deliver some level of ROI to the student or some level of income increase. That is what everybody is screaming for right now, and why, frankly, the degree itself might be in question by the public. So how do we still educate people without making them do what we say they have to do and make them choose to do what we want them to do, if that makes sense?
Right. Well, I think there are a couple of ways. And again, I think Unmuddle's distinctly helpful in these conversations. Well, one, I think community colleges are still trusted. Again, I think our brand here in central New Mexico and across the state, at least in our region, is that we are solid partners, that frankly, your fireman, your law enforcement officer, anybody in healthcare, so many of them come from CNM. I have so many people who recognize the value of our brand. But what that stands for is quality. So you've highlighted what Unmuddle allows many colleges to do, which is turn around programs quickly that are responsive. I would say we also do that with quality, and we know that that's what we're delivering. So we can do it in a timely way, but I think the quality component is so critical.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that we don't undersell that, but we provide quality. I think what's exciting about Unmuddle is that, again, as a higher ed institution, we value data-informed decision-making. I think you've identified that our learners, if we thought about them as consumers of training and education, they are absolutely looking for what's the information that's going to tell me this is going to work. This training is going to improve my life. It's going to make me more secure in a recession. It's going to allow me to increase my wages, but also put me on a pathway. What's been exciting about Unmuddle is some of the data components that allow us to track students to see where they go, to see if they're also going to be employed by a number of our employer partners. What do those wages and pathways look like? So the data component that helps underwrite, or just is the back end of what Unmuddle allows us to do in tracking learners and watching and looking at their journeys, is incredibly important. The information they provide, or Unmuddle provides to a learner who's looking to see what certificate or training can have the best payoff or to help them meet their needs. The data is there in terms of who's going to hire me, what's the average wage in a certain market. What's that range? What's the next pathway? Hey, if I take this training, I am 3 credits, or this translates to a number of credits at C&M or Pima or Bellevue or somewhere else. So I could continue my pathway. I can get more training to get a certificate, or I could go into a degree. So the information that Unmuddled provides to a learner is incredibly important. And I would say that's what also helps me as a college think, how do I describe all of our programming to learners in similar ways? Now, I will also say that what Unmuddled brings to the table are those learner testimonials. I would love to think everybody is motivated by data and an Excel spreadsheet and bar charts, but they are not. And they really are moved.
Hello?
They're really moved by the story of the employer saying, I hired somebody from this program and I'm so pleased. They're an excellent employee for me. Or you see students or learners, adult learners, who say, I took this program, it was easy to enroll, it was easy to complete, and now I'm employed at X. So when you see that students and adult learners like yourself, right, someone who's looking at these ads and the materials, when they look at the material and they see themselves there, that's what makes them enroll and take the next step. And I think Unmuddled has done a great job in terms of helping us colleges tell our story by using our students and our instructors in a way, our learners in a way that really helps bring their experiences home and shows a learner how easy it can be to take that first step on what could be an incredibly successful pathway for them. So again, Unmuddled really helps us articulate our story.
It's what you can prove.
I love that. I love the part where you talk about proof. You're talking about proof, right? There's 2 kinds. There's data proof, there's the numbers proof, and then there's the story proof. There's the testimonial proof. Yeah. And what I love about what you're doing, if you sit and think about what's happening in the efforts that you're leading here and with Parminder and Unmuddled, if you're in a state and you're at a partner college, if you're in a state as a partner college and you need to offer something to your community and you don't have the resources to do it, because I don't know if we've ever met a community college president that hasn't said, we have too many resources. So we're just going to go ahead and hand out our resources to other colleges. If you can offer that programming that somebody else developed in your home state, you're filling the educational pipeline, period. Would that student who is looking into community college, if they didn't have that program, what would they do? Do we think that they would just walk down the road and enroll at a 4-year private college? No. Do we think they would probably not enroll in college at all, non-credit, for credit? Yes, that's what I think. I just think they opt out and go, you know what, they don't have what I need, and so I'll look at something else, or maybe I'll wait a year or 2. Filling the educational pipeline helps all of us later. It might not help all of us right this minute, but we have to have the strategic foresight to look into the future. Do you guys talk about that a lot? Like, what's the future?
Absolutely. So again, it goes back to those partnerships. I think I was in a meeting within the last couple of weeks as we were talking about autonomous driving and maintenance of autonomous vehicles, and what are the logistics to manage an autonomous fleet. And we have an incredible partner here in Albuquerque. And so we're talking about programming and how we develop that and how we develop it to meet their needs. And of course, not only do they have programming needs, but they also have a workforce need. And my immediate, after we go through this conversation, I said, well, you realize we are part of a group called Unmuddled. So I have a partnership with Pima Community College. They have developed an autonomous driving curriculum. So I think there are ways, and I said, I would be glad, and it would be fantastic to partner to see if there's a way to, I'd say, jumpstart the curriculum if we need to build off of what Pima has designed to tweak for this particular employer and this particular need. Or we say, how do we build on what Pima does that I can deliver it here in Albuquerque? Pima Community College is located in Arizona. But I can offer their curriculum, or I can have that student maybe either start or finish at Pima, but then they can take additional training maybe from C&M that we develop for our employer. And then of course, that secondary training, that next level training can be available to Unmuddled partners. So I think there are many ways where we are talking about not only is it responsible to leverage our resources for program development, but frankly, time. Who has time for us to develop the wheel? They don't. We really have to figure out how we can better work with each other, whether it's institutions and employers, to build on what already exists, to be responsive to both learner and workforce needs. So there are many reasons for why we work together. And I do think that is the future because as we all know, the rate of change is so fast. And even we are quite agile, I think, at C&M, but even we are challenged by how quickly we can turn around programming and make that available to learners and be responsive to employers. But even we are challenged in time. That will only continue. So we have to think differently about how we're going to meet our needs. And as you noted, if they don't come to us, I'd rather they participate in someone else, another community college who can provide quality programming at a reasonable cost to them and their employers. So because that only increases the pie, and it's actually what we're called to do, I'd say, as public community colleges. So.
Right, because you're filling a workforce need. If the workforce needs what you provide, then you get to provide more of it. If they don't need what you provide, they're going to go elsewhere for it. So that's a critical part that community colleges play. Why wouldn't anybody, a community college president or board or trustees that's looking at this, thinking about a model, going, well, I don't know, what do you think is holding people back from jumping in? Do you think it's the thought of my students going somewhere else and now they're not going to be mine anymore? Is it this, ethnocentrism a little bit of what's mine is mine? Can you talk a little bit about what you think would get a president or decision-making group over the hump to join on model?
Sure. Well, I do think there is an approach of partnership that's expected. And I think it's hard to engage a college or an employer if it's only, I want to join here so I have access to an employer base or something.
Right.
If it's only one-sided, the institution or the employer won't get the most out of the experience, frankly. I also think it requires courage and some resources to engage in this kind of work. Courage to ask questions, to think differently, to challenge, frankly, legacy systems, whether it's registration or the student information system or a learning management system. So it's hard to think about how to be flexible and accommodating when we see constraints. We all have them, but when we see them, and so you have to have the courage to buck those. I would say what was helpful during the pandemic, and it depends on everyone's locality for an institution, is the resources available to take a leap like this.
Right.
We allocate staff, full-time employees working on on these projects. We certainly rely on our current faculty and instructor base and our current equipment, but we've actually put some resources into these efforts because I think the future requires that of us.
Yeah.
But I would say those pandemic funds that where we used for many, many resources, right, to serve students, provide additional financial support, wellness support, housing, whatever we were providing, we used some of those funds to drive this innovation and this testing, I'd say these pilots with Unmuddle. So we were able to use some additional funding, one-time funding, and that's ideal for, I think, dipping your toe in the water here. But I'll also note, I think we have a culture of engaging here at C&M, but I also, frankly, I work for a board. I work for 7 elected officials, and they expect me to partner. They expect me to keep my eye on the future and find ways to, to allow the institution to grow and test and pilot ways to meet more learners and help our employers. So again, there are pressures externally that help us think broadly. But I also think I'm very fortunate that I work for a board that expects me to do this. And I'm really glad that I found a partner in Unmuddle. Had no idea we would be as successful and I think as forward thinking and make such great progress in a short period of time since November 19, but we really have. And so that's, again, there are a number of ingredients I think that help an institution or employer engage in this effort. So.
Well, this is, I think, the 4th year of Unmuddle in the community college marketplace. I know Amazon came on board as a employer like a year and a half ago. So that's like, it's kind of a win, I would say. It's kind of a win to get Amazon on board. And now you guys are moving from, I think, ideation and implementation and, design and all of those things to, okay, we got to go out and we got to tell people about this and employers about. And so can you talk about shifting from, okay, this idea and let's make it happen to let's tell everybody else that it's happening?
Well, I don't think there's any question when Amazon or an employer like them that has a national reach and that has a strong commitment to, I'd say, workforce development, recruitment for them, but also workforce development. They invest in their employees. They have
Yes.
a number of employee education programs and they partner with community colleges and others to provide their training. And so when you partner with someone like Amazon, that does change the nature of the game. And so C&M was fortunate to be able to respond and work with Amazon closely to develop that first, I'd say, prototype of learning for one of their mid-level, entry-level technician positions. So that went well. We've enrolled more than 100 students. That may not sound like a significant number, but we stood up a program late last spring. We enrolled a number of students in the summer, refined our student enrollment process, made sure our LMS is aligned, worked out a lot of technical bugs that we needed to, but that ramped up to more than 60 by fall and as we've grown. So I think what's exciting, again, it's a short period of time, but again, once you have that relationship with someone like an Amazon, I wouldn't say it's a good housekeeping seal of approval, but what it can do is tell other employers is that, hey, there's a model. We're going to keep iterating the model, but here's a model for how you can actually build out certain types of programs. And here's one program we're doing. What's exciting about is the next program, which we affectionately refer to as sort of lab in a box. Yeah. But the idea of how we build out programming, because wouldn't it be great? We have an online training program. A learner can take that at their convenience. They have a period of time to maybe like a subscription process, but Amazon has some criteria that they want their employees of when they want that employee to complete that training, and then they'll hire them and receive some additional support and salaries. They move up a pathway in their company. But we've also said, what happens when in the next iteration of this course, we need someone to demonstrate skills? How do we show that online? Well, if we can create kind of the lab in a box, the curriculum, where Amazon says if an individual can meet certain types of skills, we can have that individual go to one of our warehouses, one of our labs, either at our Amazon site or even at one of the community colleges who are partnering. Say, here's this lab, you can take it anywhere. We'll have a supervisor come in and make sure, or an instructor make sure the student or the learner can show those competencies and skills. But again, you don't have to be in a classroom. If you can do that at an Amazon facility, how fantastic, right? So we're really looking at ways of how do we take this curriculum that, again, is developed by an employer, and then allow the employer to help, I would say, require and help that learner make sure the learner meets their criteria for competencies. But again, that's guided by what a community college does, which is we provide instructional support. We provide instructional design. Again, we bring our strengths to the table, but we allow that flexibility so that it best meets the employer and learner needs. So when I think about the iterations of what we do, it's phenomenal. And again, I think that's what now we can market. We didn't have that a year ago or a year and a half ago, but we have it now. And so that's really what gets other employers excited, particularly in the programs that we're talking about with an industrial technician certificate, because we know many employers have 90% of those skills that they're looking for, and they want the 10%. And we can always tweak for 10%. We can always add to that curriculum. So it's been really quite phenomenal. And now that we actually have something to market that is more tangible, and that companies are willing to iterate, again, because the workforce needs are so great.
I love that, because, the narrative around higher ed in general is that we can't provide the skills that employers need. Yeah. What C&M is doing with the partnership with Unmuddle and the being chair of the steering committee is proof that is not true, which is why I was so excited to interview you and really proud of Parminder and the work she's doing, and for all of you to be so innovative, because this is how we show our best in higher education. Say, you know what, outside world, we are doing that work, and we have social proof. We are working with employers. So I really appreciate you coming on, Tracy. Last word to you. Anything about C&M that you want to say? Anything else about Unmuddle that you want to say before we close it out?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to seeing where Unmuddle goes next. Again, I think it's such an important entry point for so many learners and employers, and a great space for community colleges to play, because I think it allows us to be authentic and true to our mission of being public institutions, being a key partner in solving our workforce needs. And again, really the primary avenue for people to achieve, I'd say, social and economic mobility. So I'm excited that I get to do what I do in central New Mexico, but I'm excited that I'm part of a much bigger partnership with Unmuddle and others to be able to have a greater reach and to, again, meet the expectations and needs of society. So I'm very fortunate. Thank you for giving me this platform. And again, thank you for being so generous with Unmuddle and so many of our other partners.
We are going to do all we can to communicate this message from you, Tracy, and that of Unmuddle. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, she's Tracy Hartzler. She's president of Central New Mexico Community College and chair of the Unmuddle Steering Council. That's a mouthful, but I did get it all out. Tracy, did you have a good EdUp experience today, even though we got started a little bit late?
Oh, I did. Thank you. I mean, this is a treat, and so I appreciate the time and the opportunity. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd. Unmuddle helps your community college to drive enrollments and revenue. Community colleges help with workforce development programs to compete on a national and global scale, offering those services to employers. It's time for a new era in higher education. Check out Unmuddle at unmuddle.com/colleges and claim your college for free.